Hello, hello, how are you? This is Jilly Bling, and I have one more project to share using Nature's Harvest. What do you think? You like that little frame? So this project was inspired by Diane Long's swap card. So each month I participate in a swap. We mail in 8 cards to Carolyn, and then in turn she returns 8 to us. So this is one that Diane made, and I've had it sitting right there on my desk for a few months. But isn't it just sweet? So I wanted to do something like this. So here is my version. So I'd like to do another one just like this today. So Nature's Harvest. And then for the words, I was trying to get some little words like Diane did. And she used this, I think it's from the Sending Things bundle, but I had this die that works perfectly. But the words that fit inside of it well are love you much and thank you from Pansy Patch. But on the inside I'm going to use a retired set, so any sets that you have are just fine for the inside. Then Stylish Shapes is where I got this little banner die. Stitched Rectangles is to make the frame. And finally, Harvest is to cut out the flower. So, lots of things, and lots of fun, and lots of pretty. Okay, and I'd like to do today's with a pink flower. I like pink. I don't know if the flower should be pink, but I like pink. Okay, so let's start from the bottom. These pieces and papers we'll use. This is Stampin' Up! White, thick cardstock with a little dot on it. Oop, it might be coming up. It's like, where does that come from? You know it, it's going to be covered up with the designer paper. It's adhesive. So this is going to be the frame, and this will be the piece underneath it. Nothing needed to do with that. That's just going to sit down on here. This piece I'm going to cut out with the frame. Okay. Let's start with the frame. So I'm going to stick these pieces together just because I don't want them to shift. Laundry's done. I hear it beeping. Emma is here. She was in the shower and I said, well, here, I have a fresh towel for you. And she held it and she was like, oh my gosh, this smells and feels so good. And I said, I know, when you're in the shower, let me know when you're almost done. I'll come and I'll hand you a warm towel. And she goes, oh my gosh, okay. She's so cute. She liked that. I'm like, you need a good job so you can always have warm towels. I think they even have towel warmers. Okay, so I'm going to run this through and texture it. So for the texture, I'm using Stripes and Splatters embossing folder. It comes in a pair. And I just put the frame that had no texture on it. Voila, texture. Kind of fun. Okay, so that's going to go in here, but we need this to be cut out. So, to cut it out, we need just the little one. So decide where you want your frame. And I'm thinking right about midpoint. And I have to leave a little bit of a border because once the frame, the crumb cake frame goes on, I just don't want it way too far over there. Okay, so I'm going to cut out the designer paper. Okay, and this is going to be put on with dimensionals, but before it gets put on. That will go there. And this is going to go underneath. So that's why I say kind of hold up for just a minute. Isn't that nice? Okay, so since this is on top, let's put this on with dimensionals. And Diane, looking at hers, I put it off to the side. Let's see if you could see this. She put on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then 4 going across here. I mean, she put on lots of dimensionals. So, you know I want to be like Diane. And I'm going to put on more dimensionals than any card should ever have. But her cards are always just so nice. She's quite a flair. She does, many times they're very simple, but they're just compelling. This one, I don't know that you'd call it simple, but just see how crisp and clean and perfectly cut her lines are. She's in data analytics. She's a numbers person. Maybe it has something to do with that. But I love her work, always. I don't think there's been a time that I haven't. And if there was, that means I'm looking at it wrong, because she always does beautiful work. Look at that. Diane, if you're watching, are you proud? Thumbs up, huh? I know, Lori, you're saying, what the heck? You don't need that many. But I must say, all those dimensionals on there, that is stable and sturdy. Okay, and to put this piece on, flip it upside down. Maybe we don't need quite so many. Maybe I'll do the big ones. Ooh, if you have borders, this is the time to use your little borders. Probably should pull these apart, but you know what? Look how convenient is that. It doesn't need to be that that many dimensionals. It probably should be just one here. That's a nice corner. One there. It probably should be more like that, but you know, when it's convenient. Oh, I should use this big stuff. Look at that. Sticky, sticky, sticky. This card is going to be a good one. I don't know what that is, but it's gone now. Okay. And just lightly, I'm going to set down the dimensionals onto here after I get it in place. And I'm looking at the pattern of the designer paper and the edge of my frame. I just don't want it crooked. Okay. And now I'll put dimensionals around here. This is Invest in Dimensionals project. That's what it is. So Emma is out meeting with Michaela because she's in the wedding party. So she's out doing that right now. That's just fun to think about. Somebody said, are you going to go with? And I'm like, oh, no, that's their thing. I don't want to be the overbearing mother and mother-in-law. Yeah, I know it's a lot. A lot of dimensionals. Can I fold it? Yep. Okay, one more. Okay, two regular dimensionals. Okay, so this goes right onto here. Very nice. It's kind of like a shadow box. Okay, so for, what else do we have here? This is for stamping in memento the flowers. And don't worry about getting the bottom because that's going to be chopped off. But I got the bottom, but that's okay. Okay, so this has a die, and you could cut it out before or after you color it. It doesn't matter. Pink, pink, pink. Okay, so this I want to be right about here. So I know definitely this part gets cut off. The dog thinks he sees something. I hope he won't start barking. Okay, and then for the words, I'll use this little die right here. And this paper. And you know I was using the thank you. And I was using birthday wishes, and they came out too big. I was planning on using the thank you, and it's okay, but I think I want some more petite words. So here's the thank you. So I'll do that in Versamark. And while I'm at it, I might as well do a couple of extra. And part of this is going to be cut off because I wanted to tuck inside the frame like Diane's did. Four thank yous. Whoever works on this project next is going to say, thank you. You made me some thank yous. This is white embossing powder. Ooh. Okay, and now I know I'm going to have it cut off right next to the words. So all I'm going to worry about is, well, first of all, I know that it's going to be cut off right about here. And that leaves enough room for the next flag. Hopefully. So this, I'm just looking at the tail end of it because I want some of that little stitched cut right on there. Okay. So here's the thank you. So to do this, what's interesting is, you know how we put dimensionals underneath the designer paper background? Then we also put dimensionals underneath the frame. Therefore, this right here, it looks like a nice shadow box, but that's 2 dimensionals deep. So when I put dimensionals on this, I have to kind of double them up. So there's 1, 2. This is just lots of dimensionals, this project. And here, let me put this underneath so you can see the outline of the, that's better. I'm going to put the little ones here piled up too deep here and here, just because that's a smaller area. It might fit a big one, but I'm not sure. Okay. And on the sample card, this one here, this little leaf right here became a little buried, and I want to see it. So don't go too far, leaf. I'll be using you. So this is going to go in here, and I'm just tucking it in underneath the frame. Don't know where this is going to go yet, but I want to put some liquid glue where the flower touches the frame, just to hold it right in place. Okay, and the thank you is going to go right underneath the frame, right about, I was going to put it a little higher, but I have a dimensional there. I think that's going to be too high. Of course, I like it just how Diane did it. So to do this, I'll put double dimensional right about here. And I might need some on this end, but I'm not sure yet. But just to make it easier, I'm going to cut off the end and put liquid glue on here. I'm not sure where the stems are going to touch it, so good layer will do it. So it tucks in. Maybe tuck in a little further. Maybe. See, now I'm covering up this leaf. I like that one too. Well, I still have this one here. This one, I'll just put right about there. So that's going to need double dimensional. Then a little glue on the end because it's going to go on the frame. Oh, I'm getting all messy. Well, I probably should have put the glue on afterwards. Got all the glue on my fingers. It might hold. Okay, so that's looking good. Now just a little bit of bling. So I think I used some polished dots. These I think are retired, but on the prior projects I used all kinds of things, so whatever you have, even rhinestones, or my favorite, the iridescent pearls, those would be perfect. Okay, so the outside is done. And this is for the inside. So this little strip, which was in the pile to go to the garbage, look what Diane did with hers. Just a little bit right here. So I want to do that. So I did it with this one. And that print matches the background here. And then on hers, she stamped the flower in a coordinating color and then the soft succulent. So I wanted to do that, and it was like, well, and I just colored it. So if you're not in the mood to do stamping and coloring, just stamp it. But I kind of like the look of the coloring. I like the ease a lot of the not coloring, just stamping it. So if I do it low, that means there's less coloring. But I really like the pink. Okay, and these are some words. I want to do these in evergreen. Evening evergreen. Big words that barely fit, but they do. But they're nice. Yes. Okay, just a little bit of coloring, and I think that's it. Oh, I had to put my little paper on too. Okay, so evening evergreen stem, and I will color the big flower, and then I'll finish up the rest, and in the photos that I'll put on my blog is jillybling.com, I will put pictures of the finished coloring. This is evergreen light. The other one, the sample card I did in soft succulent. Both colors go with the paper. So for the flower, I'm doing it in Mellow Mambo Light and Dark, and then Flirty Flamingo Light. And this is so funny. Melon Mambo. I haven't used it until like a week ago. I like pink. You're like, well, why haven't you used it? That's because somehow I overlooked it. And it wasn't in my little lineup. I have 2 boxes of like organizers of the markers, and I didn't have it in there. So it didn't run out, so I didn't know I needed to replace it. And then for some reason I was looking through, it's like, there's a marker for melon? And on my little color chart, I didn't even have it filled in there. Anyhow, it's in the lineup now, and I think it looks lovely here. So when I'm coloring the Melon Mambo Light, of course I did the dark right in the middle of the petal. The dark, or the Melon Mambo Light, I'm purposely coloring a little bit larger than I did with the Melon Mambo Dark. But I'm trying to allow enough room for Flirty Flamingo. See how there's a little bit around each leaf edge and border? And it kind of makes it look almost 3D. And I'm not really blending these. It's just so small. If I were to try, I don't think it would be worth the effort to try. Because it's just a little stripe of a color. I'll hold this up here in just a minute after I do the flower center. And I'm doing that in crumb cake. Crumb cake mostly because the frame is done in crumb cake. crumb cake light. Okay, so in just a minute I'll color these in, and the picture will we'll show it all completely done. Before I put this on, I want to put that little strip on. I almost forgot. I don't do that often. I usually just throw those little bits away. So this is going to go on hold for just a minute. This is going to go, oh, I have to color it first. Well, I'll color, because it won't take much. You know, we have to be creative. Guess if I had my silicone mat, I could have that out. Set this on top. If you had any idea how sticky this is, you'd be laughing. And it's like with time, it really soaks in, and it's really sticking to my hand. Just enough for that little border to be attached. And a little bit of glue. Because see, I have to trim that little designer edge. Because I think this paper is width 3 3/4. And this paper is, the designer paper is 4 inches. Okay, evening evergreen layer, and almost done. Oh, it's so close. Hold on. There was someone at one point and she says, I don't mind you coloring, so I'm hoping that you all don't mind. I'm taking a minute to color it in. It's going to look good. It's going to be worth it. Should have done it to begin with. That's okay. I'm getting marker on my designer paper down there. Okay, and finally, a little bit of pink, Melon Mambo blends. And again, I'm trying to leave that border for the flirty flamingo. Okay, So I keep saying I'd hold it up. But see how there's that little border? Just waiting for the Flirty Flamingo. And you could see the Flirty Flamingo, how I left way up there to the edge. So it makes each petal look separate. And I did the same there. Okay, almost done. So, there it is. This is today's project and the last one using this combo. But I appreciate you watching and tuning in, and I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.